You know, I do the weave. You know what the weave is? I'll talk about like 9 different things, and they all come back brilliantly together. And it's like, and friends of mine that are like English professors, they say, it's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. But the fake news, you know what they say? He rambled. That's not rambling. When you have, what you do is you get off a subject to mention another little tidbit, then you get back onto the subject, and you go through this, and you do it for 2 hours, and you don't even mispronounce one word.
You don't mispronounce one word? Also, who are these English professors you're hanging out with?
I have many friends, many friends. All of my friends, so many. Steve, I see over here. Marco Rubio is a very, very good friend of mine. Tom Brady's a friend of mine. My friend Elton John. George Steinbrenner was a good friend of mine. Howard Stern was a friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time. A friend of mine is a great manufacturer. A friend of mine is a great excavator. I have a friend who builds plants. I have friends that are reporters. A friend of mine who's in law enforcement. My best friends have become fire marshals. The generals have become very good friends of mine. My biker friends. A friend who's a doctor. A friend who's a farmer. I know the insurance companies. They're friends of mine. I have many friends that are liberal, and I think they're wonderful people. I have friends that are wonderful business people. I have friends that are very wealthy people. Friends of mine go bankrupt. I have many friends who are women, and I have some very smart friends who don't agree with me. I had a friend who's a very smart guy and a very streetwise guy. A friend of mine, he's a world champion. A friend of mine who happens to be a great athlete. He happens to be African American. You know, I have a friend, big guy, one of the biggest in the world. I have a friend. He's a very substantial guy. Tough cookies. I better not mention their names, and 2 of them are friends of mine. Friends also that have become addicted to drugs. My friend, he was my friend. He passed away. He was my friend. I have a friend every year he goes to Paris. I have friends that won't go to France. Friends that live in California. So many friends in New Hampshire. A lot of good friends out in Iowa. Friends that live in Texas. Friends in Wisconsin. I have friends that love to go to their church. I have friends that frankly aren't Christian. I have many Jewish friends. I have many friends that are Muslim. Many Chinese friends. Friends in Saudi Arabia. Friends in Mexico. Friends in Japan. So many friends in Turkey. Many friends in South Korea. I have so many friends from this area. Friends that live all over the place. I have no friends as far as I'm concerned.
Did Donnie Dum-Dum make any of the following crazy statements?
Lion, Kamala Harris, lion. Comrade, Kamala Harris. She happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black? I'm a better looking person than Kamala. My beautiful Christians, I love you Christians. I'm a Christian. Sir, Chris Christie is not a fat pig. Elvis had a guitar. He had a lot. We love Elvis, right? But he had a guitar. I don't have a guitar. I'd like to congratulate the young woman who transitioned from a man into a boxer. You can't walk across the street to get a loaf of bread. You get shot. You get mugged, you get raped. You'll be saying, please, President, we don't want any more electricity. We can't stand it. They thought I was rambling. I'm not rambling. If you look at Martin Luther King and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. Millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You want to see a bird cemetery? Just go under a windmill. You see thousands of birds dead. Eggs up 48%. I actually had a positive inflation. It was a perfect number. Cookies up 27%. Nobody was killed on January 6th. Look at what's going on. Butter up 31%. A tampon selling machine. I don't speak badly about somebody's physical disability, but he's got the biggest stomach I have ever seen. I swear. Thank you. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote. If I don't win, you will have a 1929-style depression. Enjoy it. And I like China. And I like President Xi a lot. I think he's a friend of mine. He may not be a friend of mine anymore, but I think he probably respects. From what I hear, if you look at Mr. Pillsbury, the leading authority on China, he was on a good show, I won't mention the name of the show, recently, and he was saying that China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very large brain. He said,
and as he gets more desperate, Trump is also, well, he's just getting weirder.
You deserve a president who respects you, talks to you, and who levels with you, puts it right on the level, and who always has your best interests and has your back. I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body.
For a normal person, it would have taken a lifetime to say that many stupid things in public. Trump did it in 2 months. Congratulations to him.
The transgender thing is incredible. Think of it. Your kid goes to school and comes home a few days later with an operation.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
The school decides what's going to happen with your child. And you know, many of these childs 15 years later say, what the hell happened? Who did this to me? They say, who did this to me? I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body.
He's always been this way. He once claimed protesters were throwing cans of tuna fish, that Democrats were sending mail-in ballots to dogs, and that wheels are older than walls, and he looked in the parking lot and all the cars have wheels and wheels work, therefore walls work. Those are all actual things he said. But I do think somehow, against all odds, he's getting stranger. Like,
You take a look at bacon and some of these products, and some people don't eat bacon anymore. And we are going to get the energy prices down. When we get energy down, you know, this was caused by their horrible energy wind. They want wind all over the place. But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem. Now they have Kamala, who they say has many deficiencies, but she's a nasty person. The way she treated Mike Pence was horrible.
Wait a minute. The way she treated Mike Pence was you sent an army of toothless goons to hang him. And then sat back and watched it on TV. Mike Pence is probably voting for Kamala Harris.
President Xi, very good conversations. I liked him a lot. I told him we shot 57 missiles into Syria while he was having chocolate cake. Let's say China. 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 You go over to China. 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 You take China.
China.
China. I love them. China. 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 I have to have my China. China. China because China. 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 China now. China. China. You know, China. I know China very well. China. 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 China.
Northwest Wisconsin, where I'm from.
It's China to me. China. China, 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 China. You want to buy from China? That's great. Buy from China. Buy toys from China. China in particular. China. China. I have people that I know in China. 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 China, 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 China. I've been saying China, 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 China.
Let me ask you about China.
China. I go to China. China, 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 China. People from China, they love me. China, 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 China. In China, they say I don't like China. I love China. People think I don't like China. I love China. China. China is the new China, by the way. China. 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 I deal with China. 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 Big league. China. So don't tell me about China. I know China. 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 Whether it's China, China. So if you went to China and you wanted to get a job in China, I don't knock China. How could I dislike China? A man from China. China. You have China. Carl, take China. 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 China, 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 China. China's over here. Look at what China's doing. They're learning from China. China, China, okay? Look at that. Isn't that nice? For the people of Puerto Rico. We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico. He's with the president of Finland, and he said, we have much different. We're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that. When I went to the courthouse, which is also a prison, in a sense, they signed me in And I'll tell you, people were crying. People that work there, professionally work there, that have no problems putting in murderers, and they see everybody. It's tough place. And they were crying. They were actually crying. They said, I'm sorry. That will create jobs in the United States.
Do you read your written brief?
I do. I read it a lot.
Really?
You know, I read a lot. They like to say I don't read. I read a lot.
Your daily
I comprehend
brief?
extraordinarily well. Probably better than anybody that you've interviewed in a long time. You see, child's desk, but that's okay. It's the smallest desk I've ever seen. Very, very glamorous, right? I've been attacked from fronts that nobody ever got attacked on, you know, with fake investigations, fake Russia, Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine. He had an incredible, I'm not allowed to say it because it's very impolite and very politically incorrect, a beautiful female interpreter. She was very beautiful. Today, if you say it, they'll say, this is terrible. You're not allowed to say that. Wall, the barrier, whatever you want to call it, it's okay with me. They can name it whatever they can name it, peaches. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, how it started. China. And by the way, I love China. I mean, I love China. How can you not love China? I love China. China. And you know China, South China. People say, oh, you don't like China. I like China. I love China. China all the time. China, when was the last time you heard China? Men and women who have done such a great job in helping with Florence. This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Rarely have we had an experience like it, and it certainly is not good. The N-word. You have two N-words. You don't mention either one of them. The nuclear word you don't mention, because the power is so destructive. And it was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions, and then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy. And that's not an easy question. In other words, they ask it to you, they give you 5 names and you have to repeat them, and that's okay. If you repeat them out of order, it's okay, but you know, it's not as good. But then when you go back about 20, 25 minutes later and they say, go back to that question, they don't tell you this, go back to that question and repeat them. Can you do it? And you go, person, woman, man, camera, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there. In the failing New York Times by anonymous is really an ominous, gutless coward. You just look. This is the very definition of totalitarianism. Shield and shelter, criminal. Look, wait. They sacrifice every day for the furniture and future of their children. And let me begin by wishing you a beautiful, look, you remember this? Do you remember? You came from wherever you came from. And you've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. Mike Bolton, as you know, is in Russia. Mike Pound, Justice Anthony, you know who I'm talking about. Dickinson, Hologic, and Cephahide. Rethink old assumptions and open our hearts and minds to possible and possibilities based on the core principles of fairness and reciprocity. What? Oh, it's okay. And God bless the United States. I know words. I have the best words. Each of you embodies the warrior creed, your devotion, prowess. Jerusalem is not just the heart of three great religions on the southern half of this peninsula. Replace chasms of distrust and the internet, then you will gain momentum. Terminating the diversity, lottery, diversity, and diversity. Rich traditions. And I have to really talk about the Nazis, this Russia thing with Trump, Ghana, Guinea, Nambia, Kenya, and Tanzania. It's great to be back in Missouri. You cherish Utah's gleaming rivers, the disaster known as Obamacare. As Hurricane Irma approaches, President Ulysses S. Grant, Cassandra Pourlaire, and God bless the United States. I had the best word. Look at the size of that guy. Man. He's a massive guy. This big, powerful guy. This guy is a monster, a giant of a man. One really large person. You know, I have a friend, big guy, one of the biggest in the world. This big, strong friend of mine who weighed like 250 then, which 250 then is big. That's like 310 now, right? This was a long time ago. It's a lot of big people I'm standing next to. That's some big people behind me. Boy, they're big. Big guy. Big guy. Big guy. He's your big guy in town, folks. Big guy. Strong, tough. Strong man, big, tough guy. A big, strong guy. He's this big, strong guy. He's a big, strong, powerful champion. He's a big, strong coal miner. Massive, wonderful fireman. A customs officer. Who's a monster. I saw somebody backstage. Big, strong, powerful. Big guy backstage. I just walked in and a big, strong guy grabbed me. These guys are massive guys that grabbed me. Massive guys. And they grabbed me. A couple of big, strong guys. Nice guys, and they were very large. These are big, strong guys. They were big, strong guys. Big, strong guys. Big, strong guys. These big, strong guys. These big guys. These three big guys. Look at the size of these guys. Look at the size of this. Look at the size of that guy. Look at the size of that guy. Look at the size of these guys. Look at the size of these guys. They're monsters. Look at the size, how big and strong. That's what we like. Look at the size of that guy. Come on over here, John. Big guy. Hey, Bob. Come here, Bob. Come here. He's a big guy. He's a big guy. Where are you? Derek. Oh, he's a big guy. Come here, Derek. Big Sam. Big John. Big Luther. Where's Big Jim? He's around here someplace. Where's my big guy? Where the hell is he? Where is Eric? You can't miss Eric. He's so big. Where's James? James. Look at it, James. Whoa. Look at the size of James. I want you protecting me, James. He's a big man, isn't he? He's a big man. He's a big man. He is a big man. That's a big man. He is a big man. He's not only one of the best governors in the United States, he's definitely the largest. That is the tallest human being I've ever seen. He is the biggest human being I think I've ever seen. He is the largest, most beautiful man. He's a big man. He's all man. Look at that man. He's all man. Look at him. Man, that guy's all, he's all man. Wow. I want to feel this guy's muscles. It's real.
Obama knew everything, okay? Obama knew everything. I mean, does anybody have any doubt about that? Obama knew everything.
China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. I speak from here and from the heart. I speak from the brain, but I speak from the heart. It's both. We speak from the heart and we speak from the brain. We're going to deal from the heart. We're going to deal from the brain. I think I speak from my heart and my brain, just so we understand. My deadline is what's up here. We'll figure out the deadline. You know, up here, very important. So important for right up here, the psyche. It's called like up here, and it's called memory, and it's called other things. We have horrible people that have no touch, no brain, no nothing. We need brain in this country to turn it around. You need the brain. You need the brain.
You know, it's like pretty obvious to anybody with a brain.
Let's use the brain, not the toughness. So here I am. Great schools, great brain, which I want to use the brain for you.
I'm speaking with myself, number one, because I have a very good brain and I've said a lot of things.
This is the only musical, the mouth. And hopefully the brain attached to the mouth, right? The brain, more important than the mouth, is the brain. The brain is much more important. I think God helped me. I think, look, God helped me by giving me a certain brain, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. The truth is I'm actually a modest person, very modest. It's true.
Nobody knows this stuff better than me.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do and income than I do. Nobody knows more about construction than I do. Nobody knows more about campaign finance than I do. Nobody knows consultants better than me. I know more about drones than anybody. Nobody knows much more about technology, this type of technology, certainly, than I do.
Nobody knows more about technology than me.
I know more about technology than anybody. Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me. I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me. Nobody understands the press, but I think I understand them as well as anybody. I mean, I know these people much better than you do. I understand things. I comprehend very well, okay? Better than, I think, almost anybody. And by the way, who knew the other side of the picture better than me? I knew it. Nobody knows more about environmental impact statements than me. And I think I know more about the environment than most people. I know a lot about wind. I know a lot about wind. I know windmills very much. I've studied it better than anybody. I understand the power of Facebook, maybe better than almost anybody. I know more about renewables than any human being on Earth. Nobody knows more about polls than me. I know more about courts than any human being on Earth. I understand healthcare now, especially, very well. A lot of people don't understand it. I know the angles. I know every angle. I know more about steelworkers than anybody that's ever run for office. I know more about golf than Obama knows. And in the case of Turkey and the Kurds, I could go into a whole story because I understand it, I think, better than most.
And I know all about it. I've known about it for a long time. I know the subject better than anybody.
I know.
This guy talks about, I know Scranton, I know that. Well, I know the places better.
Nobody knows more about banks than I do.
Nobody knows more about trade than me. Well, obviously, he doesn't know about nuclear weapons. I know more about nuclear weapons than he'll ever know. You know Russians better than I do, Kevin, okay? I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone. Who knows more about lawsuits than I do? I'm the king. I know more about offense and defense than they will ever understand. And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation.
I understand money better than anybody.
I understand the system better than anybody. Nobody knows more about debt than I do. Nobody knows the game better than me.
I know more about contributions than anybody.
Even the smart guys on Wall Street, and I know all of them, and they are smart. And who knows more about the word apprentice than Donald Trump? I understand politicians better than anybody. Nobody knows politicians better than me. Who knows the other side better than me? Who knows the other side better than me? I think I know more about the other side than almost anybody. And I understand the other side. Perhaps I understand it better than anybody else. I was the fair-haired boy. Nobody knows more about it than me. I know more than these politicians. These guys don't know anything. I know a lot. I know more than I'm ever going to tell you.
You're not known to be a humble man, but I wonder.
I think I am actually humble. I think I'm much more humble than you would understand. I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, I tell it like it is, I'm here.
He's kind, smart. He's telling the truth.
And nobody can do it like me. Nobody. Nobody can do it like me. Honestly. Nobody's stronger than me. Nobody has better toys than I do. There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am. Nobody loves the Bible more than I do. Nobody builds walls better than me. Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me. Nobody's fighting for the veterans like I'm fighting for the veterans.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There's nobody more pro-Israel than I am. There's nobody more conservative than me. There is nobody that respects women more than I do. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. Nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had. There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me. The sale of the uranium that nobody knows what it means. I know what it means. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me. Nobody knows the game better than I do. Nobody knows more about trade than me. Nobody knows more about taxes than I do. Nobody knows more about debt than I do. Nobody knows politicians better than I do. Nobody knows the system better than me. Which is why I alone can fix it. Nobody's ever heard of testing in the kind of quantities that you're talking about. He knows something that you don't know. That I think I know, but you don't know. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated. Nobody ever heard of Osama bin Laden until really the World Trade Center. Nobody ever heard of the word trillion until 10 years ago. Nobody ever heard of the word emolument before. Emoluments! You know, executive orders sort of came about more recently. Nobody ever heard of an executive order. Nobody knew that Afghanistan has tremendous minerals. Nobody told me that. Nobody knows that. I said, well, how many people die a year from the flu? A number that nobody heard of, that I heard of recently, and I was shocked to hear it. 35,000 people. What I'm saying, wow, nobody knew that information. A fiancé visa, which most people have never even heard of. This has been a Category 5, which few people have ever even heard of. It was at 14 or 12, and at that time, nobody had ever even heard of Ebola. You have caravans. Nobody ever heard of a caravan. And human trafficking is a disaster. Nobody knew too much about it until recently. Most people don't even know this, and I've really become somewhat of an expert on it, I will tell you. Most people don't even know he was a Republican, right? Does anyone know? A lot of people don't know that. Things were discussed and learned honestly. The media didn't know. Nobody knew. They've never heard this before, and we learned a lot. Think of it, 151 countries. Somebody said to me today that wasn't in this particular world, they didn't know that we had that many countries. A friend of mine said, very sophisticated friend said, I never knew you had 184 countries. We actually have more than that. Some countries you never even heard of, we're calling. I said, what's that country all about? We learned a lot. We're learning a lot. We've come up with things that nobody had ever heard of, and we did it during this pandemic, slowing the spread, an expression that more and more people are thinking about. Nobody ever heard of it 2 months ago. Nobody ever heard of a thing like this. Distancing, social distancing, what does that mean? Washing your hands every 15 minutes, what does that mean? It's so contagious. It's like, if you sneeze, I probably get it. Who ever heard of a thing like that, okay? I don't think any doctor knew it at the time. I don't think anybody could have known it. People didn't know that much about it, even the experts. I knew everything. I knew it could be horrible, and I knew it could be maybe good. Who knew that shaking hands was such a bad thing? I felt it. I mean, I always felt it. Most people wouldn't know that, but I know because I know the facts. With all that we've been through, we've learned a lot. Don't forget, we've learned about pandemics and epidemics. We've learned a tremendous amount. You think this is fun? This is a lot of work. A lot more work than anybody knew.
Obama knew everything, okay? Obama knew everything. I mean, does anybody have any doubt about that? Obama knew everything.
Terminating the diversity lottery program. You look at the equipment today and just go back 10 years ago and 20 years ago, it's from a different world, from a different planet. Incredible machines, and some of these machines are so intricate, so powerful.
Wow.
And really the word is, they are incredible. Bing, bing. I love it. I love it. I'm sitting there tweeting, bing, bing, bing. You press a button, bing, bing. They all hand you checks, bing, 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 bing. It's like puppets. Bing, bing. Little mouth on him. Bing, bing, bing. Bing, 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 bing. You know, with the map? Bing, bing, bing. Bing, bing, bing. They're cleaning up. Fix it up. Bing, bing, bing. 14-point plan. Bing, bing, bing. Bing, bing, bing. Sir, we've just created another website. I got them all over the place. I got a website that's pouring out of my ears. You support somebody, you get a plaque, okay? I get a lot of plaque. Bing, 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 touchdown. Wow, what a tackle. Bing, playing cards. Bing, bing, bing. Look at what happened in Syria. Boom, boom, bing. Those tunnels. Bing, boom, right under the toilet. Bing, boom, right on. I'm like a ship, just keep going. Bing, bing. Bing, like a rocket ship, except in the wrong direction. They don't want me to use hairspray. They want me to use the pump. Because the other one, which I really like better than going bing, bing, bing. We had our beautiful Marine standing there. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing, bing. They start shooting everybody. He was a traitor. So why wouldn't we make a deal? Let him keep him. I would have said keep him. You can have him. I'd give him back. I'd actually give him back. I'd fly over, drop him right on top. You know, just bing. Everyone's attacked me, has gone bing. You're fired. Bing. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Oh, it's so weird.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting. June of 1775, the Continental Congress created a unified army. Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. And then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or and I say it, what do you have to lose? I'll say it again, what do you have to lose? Take it. I really think they should take it. But it's their choice, and it's their doctor's choice or the doctors in the hospital. But hydroxychloroquine, try it if you'd like. So Obama's always talking about the global warming. That global warming is our biggest and most dangerous problem, okay? Think of it. So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that. A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax. A lot of it.
The president and a small group of people knew exactly what he meant.
You know, people don't understand. I went to an Ivy League college. I was a nice student. I did very well. I'm a very intelligent person. I love the old days, you know? Remember the old days when the doctors used to come to your house? You know, in the old days, we used to build bridges. Remember in the old days, cars, also made in the USA, right?
Families in the old days, they saved money. You know, in the old days, we used to win.
In the old days, when we were smart and strong. But in the old days, you put the hairspray on, it was good. Air conditioning is not the same as the good old days.
I think it would be nice if somebody put Merry Christmas on something, you know, like the old days.
What happened to the old days where people came into this country? They worked and they worked and they worked and they had families and they paid taxes and they did all sorts of things. You know, in the old days, a politician would lower taxes, right? You know, in the old days, no president gave tax returns. You know, in the old days, my father taught me, if you can spend less, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. In the old days, when I was young, I'd say, we're not paying you back the $150 billion. You're not getting it. In the good old days, law enforcement acted a lot quicker.
In the old days, meaning a while ago, we had great surveillance going on in and around mosques.
You know, in the old days, we had mental institutions. We had a lot of them. And you could nab somebody. You can't put him in jail, I guess, because he hasn't done anything. But in the old days, you'd put him into a mental institution. Get out. Get out. Get out. In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily. In the old days, when you have a war and you win, that nation's yours.
You know, spies in the old days used to be executed.
He left. He deserted. You know, in the old days when we were a strong country, it would be boom, gone. In the old days when we were strong and respected, they had a problem with Islam. I mean, they had a problem with terrorism. They shot 49 of the terrorists with the bullets loaded up with pig fat and pig blood. You know, in the old days, boom, firing squad. No, it's true. And we're going to go back to the old days. We're going back to the old days. Their Purple Hearts, and their parents were there crying. His father, who was crying, came up to me and said, you're not going to believe this, but my son didn't have a great-looking nose, and now his nose is better. Steel workers came up to me, and they were crying. I mean, there were like 8 or 9 of them, and only one wasn't. And I said, what's your problem? I looked at the 9th guy, I said, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you crying? Hey, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight, and you're in the boat, and you have this tremendously powerful battery, and the battery's now underwater, and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said, there's no problem with sharks.
Okay.
So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted if the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking? Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? But you know what I'd do if there was a shark? Or you get electrocuted? We are an ally of South Korea. Sir, we want free trade. Sir, that's not free trade. Sir, it's a beautiful beach. Sir, we'd like to buy a nuclear submarine. We would love to have our gang members back, sir. Sir, we could do it much faster. The thing goes back and forth. Sir, we'd like to hire about 5,000 or 6,000 more judges. Oh, sir. Don't mention the lake boat. Sir, should I just turn the sucker off? Sir, this is my son. I'm so proud of him. Sir, he disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. Sir, we've decided not to move the United States, okay? Sir, I believe we're entitled to a $10 million fee for that. $1 billion, sir. $1.1 billion, sir. $12 billion, sir. Sir, we will immediately drop the price. Sir, we don't want money. Sir, we want to dig coal. Sir, it's the greatest. And if it breaks down, I can fix it with a blowtorch or this hammer. I can fix it. Sir, you don't do that. You don't buy dresses, do you? Sir, steam is better. Sir, we can't do that. It has to float naturally. Sir, honestly, the dogs are better. Sir, the ram is ready to go. Grab me, sir. Sir, we're looking for land. Sir, we're going to purchase land. Sir, your helicopter cannot land. Sir, your wife is up in the air. There's a fire on the plane. Sir, you go through the front door, you got a lot of bullets coming at you. Sir, we have to send for Albert Einstein. Sir, he did the Grand Canyon and a few other things. Sir, he's very busy. Sir, I have the man. Sir? Maybe you'd say a wall is medieval. Well, so is a wheel. A wheel is older than a wall. John Voight, I want to just congratulate you. I know him so well, and he's a special, special man with a very, 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 very special family. So congratulations on receiving the National Humanitarian Medal. John Voight, you are an amazing artist and a beloved icon of the American film. Ready? You have the cameras rolling? Well, I could be the most popular person in Europe. I could run for any office if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I had a meeting at the Pentagon with lots of generals. They were like from a movie. Better looking than Tom Cruise and stronger. You can have all the technology in the world. I'm a professional in technology. When during the campaign, I would say Mexico's going to pay for it. Obviously, I never said this, and I never meant they're going to write out a check. I said they're going to pay for it. Where do these people come from? Where do they come from? They go back home to mommy. They get punished when they get home. I saw this man, tall, handsome, very charismatic, making horrible statements about wanting to destroy our country. And I'm writing a book. I think I wrote 12 books. All did very well. I just received a beautiful letter from Kim Jong-un. I can't show you the letter, obviously, but it was a very personal, very warm, very nice letter. I appreciate it. It was actually a happy birthday letter, if you want to know the truth. It was my birthday. And he sent me a beautiful letter, happy birthday, which was nice. If you tell a joke, if you're sarcastic, if you're having fun with the audience, if you're in live television with millions of people and 25,000 people in an arena, and if you say something like, Russia, please, if you can, get us Hillary Clinton's emails. Please, Russia, please. Should promote. Darling, is the wind blowing today? I'd like to watch television, darling. And when the wind stops blowing, it doesn't make any difference, does it? Unlike those big windmills that destroy everybody's property values, kill all the birds. Sleepy Joe and Crazy Bernie. We have a young man, boot edge. Boot edge. They say edge. He's got a great chance, doesn't he? He'll be great. Crazy Elizabeth Warren, or as I affectionately call her, Pocahontas. We want Biden. We want the son, Hunter. Where's Hunter? We want the son. What's going on with Fox, by the way? What's going on there?
Kellyanne is great, but she's married to a total whack job. I think she must have done some number on him, Ainsley. I don't know what Kellyanne did to that guy.
At some point, I hope they get it.
You're going to turn it over?
No, at some point, I might. But at some point, I hope they get it because it's a fantastic financial statement. It's a fantastic financial statement. And let's do that over. He's coughing in the middle of my answer.
Yeah, okay.
I don't like that, you know?
Your chief of staff.
If you're going to cough, please leave the room.
Get a shot of, and I'll come over here.
You just can't.
Just to change the shot.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, do you want to do that a little differently then? I used to get great press until I ran for politics. I mean, I used to be the king of getting good press. And this is how I got elected, by being off script. Believe it or not, I watch my words very carefully. There are those that think I'm a very stable genius. I have people come up to me, sir, we want to follow you. They don't let us on. And it was so different than it was even 6-7 months ago. I was picking up unbelievable amounts of people. And I'm hotter now than I was then, okay? Because, you know, you also cool off, right? It used to take me a short number of days to pick up 100,000 people. I'm not complaining we're like at 60-some-odd million, but then we have 5 different sites. We have another site with 25 million. We have another site with 10 or 12. Then we have Facebook. Then we have Instagram. It would say 7,000, 7,008, 7,017, 7,024, 7,032, 7,044. Billions and 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 billions. and billions 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 and billions. Billions. Billions.
You know, you're really beautiful. And a woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this scent.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you. Oh. Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try.
Mayor Giuliani, he's given away over $2 billion in corporate wealth.
We can't sell beef. It's peanuts.